There was once a woman who had every reason to give up. Life had thrown challenges at her, not one, not two, but countless times. Her dreams were mocked, her faith was tested, and her strength was questioned. But she didn't quit. When the world said, "It's over," she whispered to herself, "It's not over until I win." You see, strength is not about how loud you roar when things go right. It's about how quietly you rise when everything falls apart. She rose again and again, not because life became easier, but because she became stronger. Every time she fell, she learned something new. The first fall taught her humility. The second fall taught her patience. The third taught her resilience. And the rest, they taught her that pain is not her enemy, it's her greatest teacher. People often think success is about talent. But talent means nothing if you give up too soon. What truly defines greatness is the refusal to surrender. There were nights she cried in silence. Mornings, she woke up with swollen eyes, and days she pretended to be fine. But deep down, she carried an unshakable belief that her story wasn't meant to end in defeat. One day, when the world looked at her, they saw her success. But she knew the real victory wasn't in what she achieved, it was in what she overcame. Because the woman who refused to quit became the woman who inspired others to begin. So, when you feel like quitting, remember her story. Don't quit because it's hard. Don't quit because it's slow. Don't quit because no one claps for you. Keep going. Because your journey might just be the light someone else needs. There are moments in life when everything around you seems to fall apart. Relationships, dreams, confidence, even faith. The world may look the same, but inside, you feel shattered. It's in those moments of silence, when no one claps for you, when no one notices your effort, when no one says, "Keep going," that resilience is born. Strength isn't created in comfort. It is forged in the quiet corners of pain, disappointment, and self-doubt. Think about it. When a seed is buried in darkness, it doesn't scream for light. It silently pushes through the soil, inch by inch, until it finally breaks through the surface. That's resilience. The woman who refused to quit didn't build a strength under bright lights or loud applause. She built it in the stillness of lonely nights. In the quiet moments when her heart broke, but she kept breathing through the ache. She learned that silence is not a void, it's a sacred space where growth happens unseen. There is a kind of strength that comes only from enduring things that no one else sees. People will see your achievements one day and say, "She's strong." But what they don't see are the countless nights you sat alone, holding yourself together when your mind said, "Give up." They don't see the tears you wiped quickly before stepping out into the world with a smile. They don't hear the quiet prayers whispered between exhaustion and hope. Resilience is not loud. It doesn't demand attention. It grows like roots, deep, invisible, but unshakable. In a world that celebrates instant success, We often forget that inner strength takes time. It takes patience to keep walking when progress is invisible. It takes courage to keep faith when results don't show up. The woman who refused to quit didn't wait for motivation, she created it. She understood that sometimes you don't need to roar. Sometimes all you need is the strength to whisper. One more step. That whisper is what builds resilience. True resilience is not about being unbreakable. It's about being able to break and still choose to heal. It's about falling apart privately and rebuilding quietly. It's about showing up again and again, not because the world expects it, but because your heart knows you're made for more. Silence becomes the training ground for the soul, a place where you meet your fears face to face and choose to rise above them. Resilience built in silence doesn't fade when life gets harder. It becomes your anchor. It steadies you when storms come. It grounds you when chaos surrounds you, and it whispers to your heart, "You've survived before. You'll survive again." Every silent struggle you endure is shaping you into someone unshakable. The world may not applaud your strength today, but one day it will wonder how you stood so tall, and you will know it was all built in the quiet. Many people believe that failure ends the journey, but the truth is, it's often where the real journey begins. Every great story, every powerful transformation, every inspiring victory has failure written between its lines. Failure doesn't mean you're not capable. It means you're learning what capability truly requires. The woman who refused to quit didn't see failure as a signal to stop. She saw it as an invitation to grow. Each time she stumbled, she gathered wisdom she couldn't have learned otherwise. When she first fell, she felt broken, her confidence shaken, her plans shattered. But as time went on, she realized that those moments were not the end of her story, they were chapters of discovery. Failure taught her patience when she wanted instant results. It taught her humility when pride made her rigid. It taught her creativity when the usual ways no longer worked. Most importantly, it taught her resilience, because the only people who never fail are those who never try. The world often tells us that success is a straight path. Work hard, stay focused, and you'll reach your goal. But real life doesn't move in straight lines. It zigzags through rejection, disappointment, and detours. The woman who refused to quit learned that every detour carried direction, every mistake carried a message, and every setback carried strength. What others called failure, she started to call feedback. That shift changed everything. Instead of asking, "Why me?" she began asking, "What is this teaching me?" A failure has a strange beauty. It strips away everything false: the ego, the illusion of control, the need for approval, until you're left with your authentic self. It humbles you, yet empowers you. It breaks you, yet builds you. The woman who fell 100 times discovered that the cracks didn't make her weaker, they made her more real. She no longer feared failure because she understood that it's not the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. I think of a baby learning to walk. It falls repeatedly, but never calls it failure. It's simply part of learning how to move forward. The same truth applies to life. Every time you fail, you're learning how to stand taller, how to move smarter, how to build stronger. The woman who refused to quit stopped running from failure and started walking with it. She carried it like a teacher, one that didn't speak kindly, but taught truthfully. Failure refines your purpose. It forces you to question why you started and whether your goal is worth fighting for. And when you decide to rise again after failing, your why becomes stronger than your how. That's where true success begins. Not in perfection, but in persistence. So, the next time life knocks you down, remember this: failure is not your enemy. It's a bridge, one that connects who you are now to who you're meant to become. The woman who refused to quit didn't just overcome her failures. She walked through them until they transformed her. And that is why her story isn't about how many times she succeeded. It's about how many times she dared to fail and rise again. There is a moment in every person's life when pain becomes the only voice that speaks. It arrives uninvited, through loss, heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, or failure, and we wonder, why me? We see it as something cruel, something that breaks us. But the truth is, pain doesn't come to destroy us, it comes to instruct us. It is one of life's greatest teachers, strict, silent, and yet deeply transformative. The woman who refused to quit didn't run from her pain. She allowed it to guide her toward her purpose. When everything she loved seemed to crumble, she didn't understand at first. She cried, questioned, and even doubted her worth. But slowly, she realized that pain was reshaping her from the inside out. It stripped away her illusions and revealed her true strength. Pain taught her patience when everything felt unbearable. It taught her compassion when she saw others suffering as she once did. It taught her gratitude for small moments of peace, which she had once taken for granted. Pain doesn't shout its lessons, it whispers them when the world goes quiet. In those sleepless nights when her heart ached, she learned that tears were not signs of weakness, but of cleansing. Each tear washed away fear, ego, and false expectations. Through the ache, she began to understand that healing is not the absence of pain. It is the wisdom that grows from it. Pain carved space in her heart, not for bitterness, but for depth. Most people spend their lives avoiding pain, running from it, distracting themselves, or pretending it isn't there. But those who dare to face it learn that pain carries hidden gifts. It makes you more human. It deepens your empathy, sharpens your insight, and grounds your soul. The woman who refused to quit didn't numb her pain. She embraced it. And in doing so, she transformed it into power. Every time life tested her, she came back wiser, calmer, and more centered. She began to see that pain wasn't punishment for something wrong she had done. It was preparation for something great she was meant to do. Just like a diamond is formed under pressure. Her character was being refined by struggle. Pain polished her edges, turning her from fragile to fierce. It made her stop chasing validation and start valuing authenticity. When people betrayed her, she learned to trust herself. When circumstances broke her heart, she learned to build her peace from within. Pain also taught her the art of surrender, not giving up, but letting go of what she couldn't control. That surrender brought her peace. And in that peace, she found clarity. She saw that the purpose of pain wasn't to make her suffer, but to make her evolve. Without the storms, she would never have discovered her strength. Without the darkness, she would never have valued the light. And so she stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That question turned her pain into power, her wounds into wisdom, and her past into purpose. Through pain, she didn't just survive, she awakened. There's a myth the world keeps repeating, that success belongs only to those who are flawless. Those who never make mistakes, those who get everything right the first time. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. Success has never been about doing everything right. It has always been about refusing to stop doing what matters. The woman who refused to quit understood that perfection was never her goal. Progress was. She didn't wait to feel ready, confident, or perfect. She simply chose to keep moving. Even when every part of her wanted to stop, she stumbled many times, failed often, and faced moments where quitting seemed easier. But every time she fell, she got back up, dusted herself off, and took one more step. That's persistence, the quiet determination to continue, even when enthusiasm fades, even when motivation disappears. It's the will to move forward when no one believes in you, and even when you don't fully believe in yourself. She learned that you don't need to be perfect to begin. You just need to begin to become stronger. Life rarely rewards perfection. It rewards consistency. The woman who refused to quit knew that success doesn't happen overnight. It's built brick by brick, day by day, through small efforts repeated endlessly. When people doubted her, she didn't argue. She just kept working. When she failed, she didn't give excuses. She just tried again. Every setback became a stepping stone. Every no she heard brought her closer to her yes. The beauty of persistence is that it turns obstacles into opportunities. Perfection seeks approval, persistence seeks growth. One is driven by fear, fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, while the other is fueled by purpose. She stopped chasing flawless results and started focusing on faithful effort. Some days her progress was invisible, her results unclear, and her confidence low. But she kept going because she knew that every step forward, no matter how small, was still a victory. Perfection tells you, "You're not good enough yet." Persistence whispers, "You're growing. Keep going." She chose that whisper. She stopped comparing her path to others Because she understood that real success is not measured by speed, but by endurance. The mountain doesn't move for those who wish, it moves for those who climb. And climbing, she realized, isn't about reaching the top quickly. It's about refusing to stop when it gets hard. There were times she repeated the same mistakes, times when progress felt invisible, and times when she questioned if her effort was worth it. But persistence taught her that growth is often silent. Flowers don't bloom overnight. They grow quietly beneath the soil before showing their beauty to the world. The same way, her persistence was shaping her in ways she couldn't yet see. Through persistence, she discovered patience. Through patience, she found peace. And through peace, she found power. Perfection might impress others for a moment, but persistence builds a life that inspires forever. The woman who refused to quit didn't become great because she never failed. She became great because she never stopped trying. Each imperfect step forward was still progress. And in the end, that's all success truly is. The courage to continue no matter what. There are times in life when everything feels uncertain, when the path ahead is covered in fog, when every step forward seems risky, and when the heart trembles between hope and doubt. In those moments, fear becomes loud. It whispers that you're not ready, that you might fail again, that maybe it's safer not to try. But faith speaks differently. Faith doesn't promise that the road will be easy. It simply promises that the journey will be worth it. The woman who refused to quit didn't live a life without fear. She simply learned how to let faith speak louder. When she faced her darkest nights, fear told her she was alone. Faith reminded her that strength was still within her. When she lost what she thought she couldn't live without, fear said it was over. Faith gently whispered, "It's only the beginning." Faith isn't blind optimism. It's the courage to trust that something good is being shaped, even when everything looks broken. It's believing that there's a purpose behind the pain, even if you can't yet see it. The woman who refused to quit learned that fear feeds on uncertainty, while faith grows through surrender. Fear makes you cling to control, while faith invites you to let go and trust the process. She realized she couldn't control how everything unfolded, but she could control how she responded, with faith instead of panic, with trust instead of despair. Each time she chose faith, she felt a quiet power rise within her, the kind that steadies your heart even when your world shakes. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, it transforms it. It turns, "What if I fail? What if I fly?" It turns, "I can't handle this," into, "I'll find a way." The woman who refused to quit understood that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. She learned to walk through fear like walking through a shadow, real but temporary. She stopped letting fear dictate her direction because she realized that fear will always be there, waiting to paralyze the dreamer. But faith will always be stronger, waiting to empower her. When life delayed her dreams, she chose faith. When people doubted her worth, she chose faith. When her heart broke and her plans collapsed, she still chose faith. That choice didn't remove her pain, but it gave her peace within it. Faith gave her eyes to see beyond the storm, to trust that even in chaos, something beautiful was forming. There were times she prayed and received silence. But even in that silence, she learned to trust that the answer was still on its way. Faith taught her patience, that timing matters more than speed, and preparation matters more than proof. The woman who refused to quit didn't wait to see the entire staircase before taking a step. She took one step, trusting that the next would appear when it was meant to. Fear locks you in the past or the future. Faith anchors you in the present. She stopped worrying about what could go wrong and began believing in what could go right. That shift changed her life. It didn't make her invincible. It made her unshakable. Because once you choose faith over fear, you stop seeing obstacles as endings and start seeing them as openings. Openings to a greater strength, a deeper purpose, and a life that's led not by fear, but by trust. From childhood, many are taught to hide their emotions, to stop crying, to stay strong, to smile even when everything inside is breaking. But the truth is, emotions are not a sign of weakness. They are evidence of being alive, of being human, of having a heart that feels deeply. The woman who refused to quit understood this truth through her pain. She had spent years pretending to be fine, locking her tears behind a brave face. But one day, she realized that real strength isn't in hiding your emotions. It's in embracing them. She discovered that the tears she once saw as failure were actually healing her. Every time she cried, she was releasing the pain that her soul could no longer hold. Those tears were not weakness. They were courage in liquid form. The courage to admit that she was hurting, that she was tired, but still willing to keep moving. Society often praises stoicism, but she learned that pretending to be okay only delays healing. True growth begins when you allow yourself to feel fully, honestly, and without judgment. Emotions are powerful messengers. Anger tells you that your boundaries have been crossed. Sadness tells you that something precious has been lost. Fear tells you that something important is at stake. Joy tells you that your soul is aligned with your truth. The woman who refused to quit began to listen to these emotions instead of suppressing them. She stopped running from them and started learning from them. She realized that emotions don't define your strength. Your ability to face them does. There were days when she smiled in public and cried in private, and she realized that both moments were sacred. One showed her resilience, the other showed her humanity. The world might see tears as fragility, but she understood that the ability to feel deeply is what connects one soul to another. It is empathy, not emotionlessness, that makes a person strong. The heart that can cry for its pain can also feel compassion for others. That is where real power lies, in softness, not hardness. Emotions became her compass. They guided her when logic failed. They taught her when to hold on and when to let go. They reminded her that healing is not linear, that it's okay to break down one day and rise stronger the next. She stopped apologizing for being sensitive because she realized sensitivity wasn't her flaw, it was her superpower. It allowed her to notice beauty others overlooked, to understand pain others ignored, and to love in ways others couldn't. In moments of despair, she would sit quietly with her feelings, not to be consumed by them, but to understand them. That silence became her sanctuary. She learned that you don't heal by suppressing emotions. You heal by feeling them until they no longer control you. Emotional strength is not about denying what you feel. It's about processing it with grace. The woman who refused to quit learned that being emotional doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. And in a world full of masks and pretenses, authenticity is the rarest form of strength. Her emotions didn't break her, they built her. Each tear watered the roots of her courage. Each ache expanded her compassion and each feeling, even the painful ones, brought her closer to the woman she was meant to be. In a world obsessed with results, achievements, and applause, it's easy to forget that the real transformation happens long before anyone notices. The world only sees the victory, the award, the success, the final smile, but it never sees the countless nights of doubt, the silent battles, the invisible sacrifices. The woman who refused to quit understood this truth deeply. She knew that what people call overnight success is often built over years of unseen effort, tears, and persistence. There were days when she gave her best and still felt like it wasn't enough. Days when her hard work was overlooked, when people misunderstood her silence, and when progress felt painfully slow. Yet she kept going because she wasn't doing it for the applause. She was doing it for her purpose. She learned that while the world celebrates the outcome, it's the journey that shapes the soul. The true reward isn't in being recognized. It's in knowing you didn't give up when you had every reason to. The woman who refused to quit began to cherish the process, the small steps, the unseen efforts, the quiet growth that no one clapped for. Every morning she rose, even when she didn't feel like it, was a victory. Every time she chose faith over fear or calm over chaos, she was building a strength that no trophy could represent. The world might measure success in numbers and fame, but she learned to measure it in peace and progress. She realized the most important transformations happen in private. Like a caterpillar inside its cocoon, she had to go through moments of darkness to emerge with wings. The world didn't see her struggle, but they would one day see her rise. That's how life works. People often arrive when the story is beautiful, unaware of the messy drafts written before it. But she didn't need the world's validation anymore. She had found value in her own growth. She stopped chasing perfection for approval and started striving for progress, for peace. Every lesson she learned, every failure she endured, became part of her unseen foundation. The world only claps when the building stands tall, but it forgets that the foundation, buried and invisible, carries the entire weight. Her efforts, though unseen, were not wasted. They were preparing her for moments of recognition she hadn't yet imagined. The journey tested her patience. It made her realize that success isn't a single event, but a collection of small, daily choices to show up, to learn, to forgive, to keep believing. She learned to find joy in effort, not only in outcomes. That shift freed her. She no longer lived for people's approval. She lived for purpose. The quiet satisfaction of knowing she was growing became enough. When the world finally saw her success, they called her lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. What they didn't see were the nights she cried and still showed up the next morning, the times she failed and started again, the moments she almost quit but didn't. The world saw the result, but she lived the journey. And that journey changed her far more than any success ever could. It made her humble, grounded, and grateful, because she knew that what truly matters is not who notices your victory, but who you become through the climb. There comes a time in life when you realize that the applause fades, trophies gather dust, and praise is temporary. What truly stays with you is the peace you feel within, the quiet knowing that you didn't give up, that you stayed true to yourself, and that you kept walking even when no one walked beside you. The woman who refused to quit reached a point where she understood that real victory was never about being celebrated by the world. It was about conquering her own fears, doubts, and limitations. In her early journey, she chased external validation. She wanted people to notice her effort, to admire her strength, to see her progress. But over time, she learned that when your happiness depends on others' recognition, it will always be fragile. She began to understand that the greatest victory is not winning against others, but mastering the battles within. The battle between hope and despair, between patience and frustration, between self-belief and self-doubt. True victory is when you rise from pain with grace. It's when you forgive those who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. It's when you learn to smile without needing a reason, to rest without feeling guilty, and to walk away from things that steal your joy. The woman who refused to quit learned that inner peace is the highest form of success. While others were racing to prove their worth, she chose to build her strength quietly. Knowing that calmness in chaos is a victory no one can see but everyone can feel. She stopped comparing her progress with others because she realized that everyone is running a different race. Some win fast, others slow. But true victory isn't about speed, it's about depth. It's about becoming wiser, kinder, and more grounded through what you experience. The woman who refused to quit didn't just want to reach her goal. She wanted to grow into the kind of person who could handle it with grace. That growth, unseen but powerful, became her triumph. There were times when she lost everything she thought mattered. Her plans fell apart. People she trusted walked away, and dreams she built collapsed overnight. But in losing those things, she found herself. She discovered that nothing external could define her peace again. Her joy became self-sustaining, not dependent on outcomes, but rooted in self-acceptance. That was her turning point. She understood that winning in life doesn't always mean gaining more. Sometimes it means needing less. True victory is quiet. It's not broadcasted. It's felt in how you respond to pain, in how you handle disappointment, and in how you carry kindness even when life has been cruel. The woman who refused to quit didn't let bitterness take over her heart. She let her scars remind her of her strength. She realized that being unshaken by the noise of the world is a form of success no one can take away. In the end, she didn't celebrate with fireworks or fame. Her celebration was silent, a deep breath, a calm heart, a peaceful smile. She didn't need anyone to tell her she had won because she knew it. The battle within her had been the hardest one, and she had conquered it with patience, forgiveness, and love. That the victory of the spirit over struggle is what true triumph looks like.